You may be living an ordinary life, but with signs that you are far from being an ordinary person. You may not even realize it, but your habits, your mindset, and even small details in your daily life indicate something that most people will never reach. You are at the top of the pyramid. While millions struggle to pay their bills, you have already overcome stages that put less than 10% of the world's population on your side. And the most curious thing? Most people who get there don't even know it. Today, I'm going to show you the clear and often invisible signs that you are already playing a completely different game than most people. And when you understand this, everything changes. Your confidence, your decisions, and even your next steps towards total freedom. But before we start, do the following. If this type of content helps you grow, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episodes that will open your eyes even more. Ready? Let's go straight to the signs. It seems simple, but it's rare. You know how to say no, and that puts you on a level that many people don't even imagine exists. No to impulse purchases, to going out every weekend, to another delivery in the middle of the week, or even to that car upgrade that your ego wants, but your wallet knows is a trap. But here's what almost no one tells you. Saying no is not a sign of limitation. It's a sign of power. Most people associate "I can't" with a lack of money. But the real no, the one that takes you to the top of the pyramid, is "I don't want to right now because I have something bigger in mind." It's the no that protects your future, even if it hurts a little in the present. Do you know what this really means? You have clarity, you have purpose, and you have self-control. And these three elements are practically superpowers in today's society, where everything is done to seduce you into spending. TikTok wants your attention. Brands want your credit card. Algorithms study your habits to push the next artificial desire. But you can break this cycle with a simple no, and that's extraordinary. According to a study by Harvard Business School, people who practice self-control in financial decisions can save up to 250% more over their lifetime than those who live on autopilot. And it's not because they earn more, it's because they make better choices. They understand that life is made of trade-offs, and that every no today is a powerful yes for tomorrow. Yes to independence. Yes to security. Yes to opportunities that only those with reserves, time, and vision can seize. And perhaps the most curious thing of all, the people who can say no most easily are precisely those who feel the least deprived, because the peace of knowing that you are in control of your life is worth more than any immediate purchase. And you know what's best? This self-control that you already have is directly connected to the next sign, one that is almost invisible but reveals a type of wealth that money will never be able to buy. While many are busy trying to appear successful, you are busy becoming truly successful. The difference? While some people buy luxury goods with credit cards, you invest in silence. Maybe you still use the same cell phone you've had for 3 years. Maybe your car has a few scratches, or you don't mind wearing the same clothes. But that's not sloppiness. It's intelligence. You've understood a truth that few have the courage to face. Those who need to appear rich almost never are, and those who are truly rich are in no rush to prove anything to anyone. Living for appearances is an invisible prison. You go in thinking you're going to impress the world, and end up trapped in debt, anxiety, and lack of purpose. You live the opposite of that. You chose peace, autonomy, real growth, not disguised growth. And this isn't just a matter of taste, it's a marker of mindset. It's a clear sign that you've crossed a mental boundary that separates the common consumer from the wealth builder. While others buy liabilities disguised as status, you buy time, freedom, and opportunities. You know that the latest fad fades. The latest model loses its value. But a good investment, a good financial decision, these bear fruit for years. Want some scary information? According to a report by Lending Club, more than 60% of people who earn more than $100,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. Why? because the more money they earn, the more they have to show for it. And therein lies the trap. An increase in income means nothing if it is accompanied by an even greater increase in consumption patterns. But you didn't fall for it. You live below your income, invest the difference, and are building something that doesn't show up on Instagram, but is worth much more. And speaking of real value, the next sign will show you how much closer you are to true freedom than you ever imagined. And maybe you haven't even realized it. If you already have some investment, whether in stocks, funds, real estate, or even a small passive income that trickles in every month, stop and recognize. This already puts you way above average. Less than 15% of Americans have assets that generate income without requiring them to exchange hours of their life for money. The rest? They are stuck in the eternal cycle. Work, pay bills, repeat. But you have broken out of this pattern. You have already taken one of the most important steps towards freedom. You have understood that money is a tool, not a trophy. And better yet, you have already started to build something that can grow without your constant presence. While others still think that the way forward is to work more hours, you have understood that the secret is to make money work while you sleep. This is the point where things start to change. You plant today, even if it is a little, and you will reap tomorrow with interest, with dividends, with appreciation. And it is not about how much you have invested today. Whether it is $500 or $50,000, the important thing is that you have already understood the game. You have already created the habit. It has already started to feed what will be an income-generating machine in the future. And what's more, according to Vanguard, people who start investing before the age of 30 can accumulate up to 3 times more wealth over their lifetime than those who postpone this step. Not by magic, but because of the most underrated effect of finance: time. Smart investors don't think about getting rich quick. They think about being free forever. And true freedom comes from income that comes in even when you're not producing. And there's something even more powerful about all this. Every dollar you invest is one more worker you've put into the world. A worker who doesn't sleep, doesn't take vacations, doesn't complain. He just multiplies. Slowly, silently, but with discipline. You have an invisible team of dollars operating behind the scenes, and this completely changes your relationship with time, with choices, and with life. But it doesn't stop there. This one is profound and transformative. You don't blame the government. You don't blame your parents. You don't blame the system, or the school, or the bad moment in the economy. You simply took full responsibility for your financial life. And that puts you in a very rare group. Because, truth be told, it's much easier to point the finger than to look in the mirror. Most people still live in victim mode, waiting for something to change, for someone to come and save you, a boss who recognizes you, a politician who solves the problem, a stroke of luck that arrives. But you don't live waiting. You take action. And this, even if it seems invisible, is a complete turning point in building a prosperous life. People who take ownership of their own story have one thing in common. They see problems as stepping stones, not walls. Psychology calls this the internal locus of control, the belief that you are primarily responsible for what happens in your life. And this, according to several studies, is directly linked to financial success, emotional health, and the ability to recover more quickly from crises. While some complain that they don't have time, you organize yourself. While others say that nobody teaches this in school, you go after it and learn. While some say you can't get rich in this country, you prove the opposite with small and consistent decisions, every day. You understand that life may not be fair, but blaming the world has never put anyone at the top of the pyramid. It's hard to take the reins, especially if life has been difficult. But this act of silent courage, this choice to no longer outsource your results, is the beginning of all true growth. And what's more, by doing this, you don't just become financially stronger. You become emotionally shielded, because those who don't live blaming live creating solutions, new paths, new versions of yourself, and this mentality gives you an absurd advantage. You no longer depend on external factors to grow. You depend on the only thing you can truly control, yourself. And speaking of control, the next sign will show you how your approach to failure puts you right where the most successful people are. And almost no one realizes this until it's too late. Failing, in itself, is not a sign of weakness. Giving up after failure is. But you didn't do that. You've tried something that didn't work out, maybe a business, an investment, an idea. Maybe you lost money, time, confidence. But instead of throwing it all away, you took a deep breath and got back up. And this choice, however silent it may have been, places you among a mental elite that almost no one sees. Because most people are afraid to try precisely because they're afraid of making mistakes. They want guarantees. They want certainties. They want paths already taken. But you understood one of the most powerful laws of success. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. People like Warren Buffett, who lost billions in bad decisions, Oprah, who was fired for not being TV material, Elon Musk, who almost went bankrupt with Tesla and SpaceX, they all have something in common. They used their mistakes as building material. And you're doing the same. It's not just about getting back on top. It's about rebuilding with more wisdom, with more grit, with more clarity. For you, failure has become feedback, a personalized instruction manual written in pain, but that teaches you more than any diploma. This resilience changes everything, because when you've fallen and gotten up, you lose the fear of falling again. You become someone who no longer depends on perfection, but on persistence. And what's more, the simple fact that you keep trying already puts you in an extremely small group of people who still believe in themselves. While many become cynical, critical, or paralyzed after a fall, you chose to grow. This is an absurd and invisible mental strength. Almost no one notices it from the outside, but inside you, it builds a foundation that nothing can knock down. And this mental strength leads directly to the next sign. It's hidden in the way you make decisions every day and reveals much more about your future than you imagine. You're not looking for miraculous promises. You don't fall for get rich in 7 days or the shortcuts that keep popping up. You play the game of someone who understands that building real wealth takes time, patience, and consistency. And believe me, that's a rarity. Today, we live in a culture that loves instant rewards. People want to lose weight in a week, make money with a magic cryptocurrency, get rich with a 15-second video. But you invest in the invisible, in daily habits, in constant learning. You prefer to plant something that will bloom in years, not hours, and this mindset automatically puts you light years ahead. A study by Northwestern Mutual revealed that 60% of Americans have no long-term financial planning whatsoever. Nothing. Not for retirement, not for emergencies, not for future freedom. They live in survival mode, jumping from account to account, hoping that next month will be better. But next month never brings change if the mindset is short-term. You get it. You know that the game changes when you stop asking, how much will this give me today? And start asking, where will this take me in 5 or 10 years? And this shows up in everything. In the way you invest, in the way you educate yourself, in the way you take care of your health, and even in the relationships you cultivate. This type of thinking is what turns an average salary into financial freedom. It's what turns free time into assets. It's what turns temporary frustrations into silent progress. You've already realized that true power lies in the compounding of interest, habits, and right decisions made 1,000 times without applause. You don't seek fame, you seek results. You don't want to appear prosperous, you want to be free. And the most curious thing? This long-term vision doesn't just give you more wealth, it gives you more peace. Because when you stop chasing after magic solutions, you start building with calm, clarity, and purpose. But now, let's talk about something even more subtle, a sign that almost no one notices. It is silent, discreet, but it reveals a brutal force within you that few. At some point, you started to realize that certain conversations were no longer useful to you. Jokes about always being broke, eternal complaints about the bad boss, lame excuses for not saving, not investing, not growing. You started to walk away, in silence, not out of pride, but out of self-preservation. You understood that the environment is not neutral. It shapes you. It contaminates you. It pulls you up or down. And a curious thing happens when you start to think differently from most people. You start to feel strange in places that used to be comfortable. It's as if your new self starts to feel uncomfortable where there used to be complicity. Shallow conversations start to tire you. Other people's financial disorganization starts to bother you. You realize that your peace is worth more than pleasing others. And this is one of the clearest signs that you are moving up a level, because without realizing it, you started to filter who gets close to you. Not by status, not by interest, but by vibe. You want to be close to those who inspire you, those who think big, those who make you want to be better. And that takes courage. Courage to break out of old circles. Courage to endure the transition phase where you haven't found new connections yet, but you no longer fit into the old ones. Few people talk about this, but all real growth comes with a moment of strategic solitude. You didn't isolate yourself, you protected yourself, and what's more, studies show that your financial level tends to reflect the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. In other words, choosing your company isn't just emotional, it's strategic. You understand that if you want to fly higher, you need to be with those who also have wings, or at least the desire to fly. This awareness changes everything. It helps you grow with more ease, less noise, and more clarity. And now comes the 9th and final sign, perhaps the most powerful of all, because it's linked to your identity, and to the way you are already silently becoming everything you once dreamed of. The news screams. Recession. Social media triggers panic. Sell everything. Protect your money. Coworkers go into desperation mode. But you stay calm, not because you have all the answers, but because you have learned something valuable. Collective panic is an invitation to collapse, and you don't have to accept it. While many react with fear, you respond with intelligence. You have learned to observe what is behind the numbers, to separate noise from reality, to keep a cool head when everyone else is losing theirs. And this behavior puts you in a privileged position, because the market rewards those who have cold blood. According to data from Morningstar, investors who remain steadfast in crises achieve, on average, up to 5% more return per year than those who sell in panic and buy in euphoria. In 10 or 20 years, this difference is what separates the average investor from the silent millionaire. But it's not just about money. This self-control is evident in everything: when dealing with debts, when negotiating, when making difficult decisions. You have understood that poorly managed emotions are costly, and, more than that, you have learned to find opportunities exactly where others see chaos. You are not cold. You are lucid. And lucidity, in times of hysteria, is a superpower. People like this are rare. They are the ones who make courageous decisions while others are paralyzed. The ones who see possibilities when everyone else sees only danger. The ones who, in the midst of the storm, build. And the most curious thing, many times you don't even realize how rare this is. But those who observe you notice. Now that you have seen these signs, you may be realizing you are already way above average. You may not have reached all your financial goals yet. But what puts you at the top of the pyramid is not just your bank balance. It is the way you think, how you act, how you choose, how you build. Maybe the world doesn't see it yet, but you are already becoming what it once admired. And the best part? This is just the beginning. If this video opened your eyes, like it, share it with someone who also needs to see the value it already carries, and subscribe to the channel. because the next videos will continue to guide you on this journey with intelligence, strategy, and vision for the future. See you at the top, because that's where you're already headed, even if you're still silent.